I have to say that the last weeks were not very easy. I decided to start my speech with a picture that deeply affected me, as it did affect many Europeans. What you see behind me is the picture of what happened in Italy, my country of origin, just a few weeks ago. Major floods that my fellow Italian Benedetta already addressed this in the panel discussion. I decided to start my speech to you today with this image because beyond the many emotions that this triggered in me, as well as the urge to do something concrete to help, of course, this has been a huge reminder of why I do politics and of why all of us are here today. Climate change is not waiting. It's here, and its impacts can be felt in Europe on a daily basis. Floods in Italy, severe droughts in Spain and in France, or here in Austria, where this year they had the lowest snow level since 1961. The day after the floods in Italy, the president of the Senate, which is the second highest office in the state, thought that the best thing to do was to attack young climate activists, saying they should go shoveling mud instead of defacing monuments. So the day after that 15 people died and 37,000 people were displaced, instead of taking action against climate change, instead of taking action against unregulated land use and overbuilding that are putting entire communities at risk, he decided that the best thing to do was to attack the climate movement. But as we heard these days, the backlash doesn't stop here. At the same time as Italy was facing these unparalleled floods, challenges to progressive climate policies have been coming from all fronts. President Macron in France was asking to slow down on EU climate legislation. Prime Minister De Croo in Belgium has been asking to suspend EU environmental legislation not related to climate change. German coalition partners have been putting climate action agreed within the coalition into question every single day for weeks and months. And ahead of the European elections, this is not going to stop. It's going to continue. And I want to tell you today that we have to continue to fight back every day a little bit more with boldness and confidence. And I think that if I ask you, what do you think it's useful to fight back against this? Many of you will tell me that what is useful is to be more people rowing in the same direction. And this is why today the addition of 4 new parties in the European Greens makes me very hopeful and proud. And I want to welcome them once again, because today we became stronger with you among us, not weaker. And I think there is another thing that is very useful when you want to fight back. And this is to be able to show the record that things can get better with us. And that we are a force that can bring the change, even during a moment of polycrisis, like right now, and even when you have, for example, a coalition partner that maybe you will not have chosen, or probably, or surely you will not have chosen. And I think that the Austrian Greens these days have inspired us warmly with their experience and the many victories that they were able to achieve despite the difficult circumstances that they found in front of them on climate, but also very impressive on social policies, but also on fighting corruption and defending the rule of law. So thank you, Austrian Greens, for hosting us and for the great example that you gave us these days. But there are many other things that we do to fight back. And this is to convince others, to convince more people, to bring them on board with us and mobilize them. As the great feminist Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg once said, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And to do this and to make sure our ideas and our values convince a maximum of people so that we can make a difference and change Europe for the best, we Greens, we need to be open, inclusive, and work with those who want to see the same change that we want. But we don't only need open arms, but also open ears to what society wants. This is why I am very proud of the listening process that we have started within the Manifesto working group. And we have started it earlier this year with the civil society, the trade unions, academia, sustainable business, because we want our common manifesto to be as participatory as possible. And this is also what happened during these days, where all of you were engaged in a lot of different discussions on things that are dear to our heart, but sometimes are also a bit more difficult to find a common way on. In such challenging and changing times, we have to talk to citizens, even those that are farther away from us. So I think that this is another thing that we have to do in the months ahead. The challenges that we have ahead of us are many. In this Congress, we reiterated, and I think we can proudly say we reiterated our unity in our solidarity with Ukraine and its people. And I really want to say it out loud. We are united in this, and we want to support Ukraine until the very end. The threat of Putin and of all other authoritarian regimes in Turkey, in China, and in many other countries, but also the deterioration of democracies within the EU, as the Polish case shows us these days, and the growth of the far right in so many of our countries, show us that we have to work further on the answers we want to formulate in order to make sure, as Alma Zadic said yesterday, that the rule of power doesn't prevail over the rule of law. But one answer I want to already say it here, because I really believe that also as an outcome of this Congress and of the speech that we heard from Jan Philipp Albrecht this morning, we have, and we can state it loud and clear also after the votes today, what we want and what we need is a stronger European Union, more integrated and with many more tools at its disposal to put in practice the agenda of change that we want. These days, I was thinking that in these very hard times of crisis, it's very hard to be visionary and come up with bolder and more creative solutions. But then I said to myself, if not the Greens, who is going to do that? And it was once again proven here at the EGP Congress, because we were able to advance on a big number of topics, on the representation and the empowerment of young people in our parties and in our list, on our will to get better at building anti-racist societies, including by being self-critical and change things in our own organizations, on our economic vision for a Europe that takes care of the well-being of people and the planetary boundaries and includes strong elements of solidarity, on the criminalization of cannabis, which is super cool. And I've seen the unanimity with which we are embracing the principle of the leading candidates for the next European elections and a strong framework for an inspiring European campaign. And I'm convinced that we are on a good path for building a strong and visionary program for 2024. I'm sure that we will be able to combine radical proposals with the right amount of realism that is needed in the times we live in. Or, as a poster that is hanging in our office from Extinction Rebellion, inspired by a quote of Che Guevara, says, "Be realistic, imagine the impossible." So while I leave you with this very nice quote, which I, of course, didn't contribute to write, nor to hang on our office, please allow me, before we close this Congress, to say a couple of thank yous. First of all, as I already said, to our host party, Die Grünen, who has been such a great, great, great partner in the organization of this great Congress. Thank you so much for hosting us in sunny Vienna. Danke, grazie. Thank you to all of our partners, the Green Group in the European Parliament, the Young European Greens, the Green European Foundation for being present with us in Vienna. Also, the Erich Böll Foundation, who was present in big numbers. It shows that we are a united green family of complementary actors who will head to the European elections together. Of course, as it was already said several times, all of our members of our bodies, the Amendments Committee, the FAB, all of you delegates who make this possible every time, and in this Congress especially, which was so charged with decision-making, negotiations, I want to give you a big thank you for all the time that you are allocating to our internal democracy. Once again, thanks, of course, and congratulations to the newly elected members of the FAB, of the Amendments Committee, and to all of our new member parties, and to Progressive, who became full party today. So we didn't mention it earlier, but it's always nice. And of course, thanks a lot to the committee who, as you know, has been doing all of this and has been also, of course, working very, very hard. This morning, they were all super tired. So please give them a warm round of applause, because this is a very, very heavy exercise. And then, of course, huge, major, amazing, biggest thanks to the EGP team who makes this possible every day, and without whom none of this would be possible. So please give them the warmest of the applauses you can give. Wow. Okay. Okay, so now I see what you can really do. Because until now, it was not that loud. So, okay. Now I understood the trigger. It's the EGP team. Okay, so among the EGP team, just a very short sentence. I want to thank somebody who has been with us for many, many years. You rarely see him in front of the stage because he's a man of behind the scenes. And he's not going to come on the scene. Don't worry, JC. JC is really an important element of this team, because without him, anything that you see on the screen, on the banners and so on, would not exist, on top of many, many other things. JC is leaving us because he's going back to Spain, but I want to give him a special applause as well, because he's a dearest colleague. Wow. We'll miss you, JC. We'll miss you, JC. So now, last announcements before we wrap up this Congress for good, and you can drink with the basketball players. So some group pictures need to be taken. The one for the Global Greens Congress, I told you it's important. Please remain until the very second. It's starting on Thursday, and I remind you that it's still possible to register and join online and continue these inspiring debates that we had in Vienna together with our bigger family in the global level. As you know, also, we have voted for the next Congress to be online. It will be in December. We have already mentioned it. It's not appearing on the screen, because what's appearing on the screen is the location for our next extended extraordinary electoral congress taking place between 2 and 4th of February in Lyon, France. Woo! Come by train to Lyon. Come by train to Lyon, and we're looking forward to see you there. Now, I call on the stage committee and team for the picture, and then you please remain because we're going to do the picture for the Global Greens from above, so just the time to organize it. Thank you very much, everyone, and have an amazing party, and don't fall in the river because it's dangerous. Don't drink too much, or do it with the basketball players.